Part 1. The pain of self-aggression. That voice, the one that knows all your weaknesses and whispers them back to you in your lowest moments. What if, instead of fighting it, you could simply turn down the volume until it becomes irrelevant background noise? If you are tired of living with a relentless critic inside your own mind, you have found the control room. This is not about winning a war, it is about changing the channel. Subscribe to The Hidden Voice, and let us, together, learn the gentle art of silencing your inner judge. Let's begin by acknowledging the unique and exhausting pain of living with a roommate who hates you. And that roommate lives inside your own head. The inner critic. It is a constant, running commentary, a shadow that follows your every move. It is the narrator of your own private horror film, and you are its only star. When you succeed, it is the voice that steals your joy, whispering, "It wasn't that good. You could have done better. You just got lucky." It ensures that no victory is ever truly savored, no achievement is ever truly enough. When you fail, it is the voice that magnifies your shame, shouting, "I knew it. You are a failure. You always mess things up. Who did you think you were?" It is the relentless prosecutor, replaying your mistakes on an endless loop, ensuring that every wound is salted, every scar is remembered. You live in a state of constant, low-grade surveillance. Every action is scrutinized. Every word is judged. Every decision is second-guessed. You are more afraid of your own judgment than you are of anyone else's. And the exhaustion of this is profound. It is the exhaustion of being in a state of perpetual self-aggression, of being both the attacker and the attacked. It erodes your confidence, making you afraid to take risks, to speak your truth, to be seen. It starves your creativity, because no new, tender idea can survive in such a harsh and critical environment. And it isolates you because it is a secret war. You walk through the world with a smile on your face, while on the inside, you are being relentlessly and silently attacked by the one person you can never escape, yourself. Part 2. The Ghost in the Machine. To turn down the volume on this inner critic, we must first understand what it is. And more importantly, what it is not. Here is the foundational truth, the one that will begin to set you free. The inner critic is not you. It is not the voice of your true self. It is not the voice of your soul. It is not even an accurate assessment of reality. The inner critic is a ghost in your machine. It is an echo. It is a psychological construct, a piece of software that was programmed into you at a very young age. It is a collection of recorded voices, the voices of your parents, your teachers, your peers, your culture, that you have internalized and mistaken for your own. And here is the great paradox. Its original intention was to protect you. The critic was born in your childhood as a brilliant, if flawed, survival strategy. The child's mind reasons, the world is a dangerous place. People criticize me, and it hurts. If I can criticize myself first, if I can find all my own flaws before they do, then maybe it won't hurt so much when their criticism comes. Maybe I can protect myself by becoming my own worst enemy first. It was a strategy to control the uncontrollable, to preempt the pain of judgment and rejection. But now, that strategy has become a broken program, a car alarm that is stuck on an endless loop, blaring at all hours of the day and night, long after the original threat is gone. It is no longer protecting you. It is tormenting you. It is the ghost of a well-intentioned but terrified child, still trying to run your adult life with its outdated and painful survival software. You are not at war with a powerful entity. You are being haunted by an echo. You are being held prisoner by a ghost. And the work of turning down the volume is not to fight the ghost. That will only make it scream louder. The work is to see the ghost for what it is, an impersonal, automated, and ultimately powerless recording of the past. Part 3. The somatics of the critic. To see this ghost clearly, you must learn to recognize its energetic signature in your own body. The critic is not just a voice, it is a physical, palpable state of being. Let's feel it now, so that you can never mistake it for your own true nature again. Find your quiet space. Take a breath. And just for a moment, I want you to call up the voice of your inner critic. Think of a recent time it was active, a recent mistake or failure it was commentating on. And as the voice begins to speak, bring all of your awareness into your body. Feel its energy. Where does it land? For most of us, the critic's voice creates an immediate contraction. Feel the tightening in your solar plexus, the clenching in your gut. This is the feeling of being attacked, of bracing for a blow. Feel the constriction in your throat. The feeling of your own truth being choked off, of being unable to speak up for yourself against the onslaught of judgment. Feel the tension in your jaw, your neck, your shoulders. The physical posture of self-defense and rigidity. Notice the temperature of this state. It is often either a hot, flushed feeling of shame, or a cold, sharp, brittle feeling of fear. This entire constellation of sensation, the contraction, the constriction, the tension, the heat or the cold, is the somatic fingerprint of the inner critic. It is the feeling of self-aggression. It is, by its very nature, a state of pain. It is the feeling of a system at war with itself. Now, with a long, slow exhale, let it go. Let the voice fade. Let the tension dissolve. And just for a moment, simply rest. Rest in the quiet space of your own awareness. Feel the natural, peaceful hum of your own being, when it is not under attack from itself. Feel the subtle openness in your chest, the quiet in your gut. This peace, this is you. That painful contraction, that is the critic. They are not the same. They cannot coexist in the same moment. You are, in every moment, choosing which one you will inhabit. The great work is to become so familiar with the painful, contracted signature of the critic that the moment you feel it, you can recognize it for what it is, not the truth of who you are, but the painful, habitual signal of a ghost in your machine. Part 4. The Wisdom of Radical Acceptance. For your entire life, your strategy for dealing with this painful, contracted state has been one of resistance. You have fought the critic. You have argued with it. You have tried to prove it wrong. You have tried to suppress it and to force it into silence. And as you have discovered, this strategy does not work. In fact, it makes the critic stronger. There is a fundamental law of consciousness that the great meditation teacher Tara Brach has articulated perfectly. It is the principle of radical acceptance. And the law is this: what you resist, persists. Your resistance is the fuel that gives the critic its power. When you argue with the critic, you are validating its existence. You are agreeing to step onto the battlefield with it. You are taking it seriously. And so, the war continues. The path to turning down the volume is a radical and counterintuitive one. It is not a path of resistance, but of acceptance. Not of fighting, but of befriending. Now, this does not mean you have to believe the critic. This is the crucial distinction. You do not have to agree with its vicious stories. But you must be willing to allow the experience of the critic, the thoughts, the feelings, the painful somatic contractions, to be present in your awareness, without pushing it away. Tara Brach often tells the story of coming home and finding a hungry, snarling dog on her doorstep. Her first instinct is to yell at it, to try and scare it away. But the dog only snarls more fiercely. Then, she realizes the dog is not vicious, it is terrified and in pain. And so, she changes her strategy. She sits down on the steps, a safe distance away, and she begins to speak to it in a soft, gentle, and soothing voice. She does not try to get close. She simply offers it her calm, accepting presence. And slowly, over time, the dog's snarling begins to soften. Its posture relaxes. It begins to feel safe. Your inner critic is that snarling dog. It is a terrified, wounded part of your own psyche. Its aggression is a mask for its own deep pain, the pain of the child who was criticized, who was shamed, who felt they were not good enough. To fight it is to meet its terror with more aggression, which only validates its belief that the world is a dangerous place. The radical path is to learn how to sit on the steps with your own inner critic. To meet its harsh, contracted energy with a vast, open, and compassionate awareness. To allow it to be there, without believing its stories and without fighting its presence. You are not trying to make the critic go away. You are trying to create a field of awareness so spacious and so loving that the critic's contracted energy can finally, and for the first time, begin to relax. The volume doesn't get turned down by force. It gets turned down by love. Part 5. The Parable of the Traveler and the Echo Canyon. To truly understand this dynamic, that your resistance is what fuels the critic, let us tell a story. The Parable of the Traveler and the Echo Canyon. Imagine a lone traveler, walking through a vast and silent canyon. For a long time, the journey is peaceful. But then, in a moment of frustration, the traveler stubs his toe on a rock and cries out in pain, "I am a failure!" And from the other side of the canyon, a great, booming and cruel voice answers back, mocking him, "You are a failure!" The traveler is shocked and angered. He doesn't understand the physics of the canyon. He believes there is a monster on the other side, a vicious critic who is there to judge him. So, he yells back in defiance, "I am not." And the great voice booms back, "You are not." He shouts, "You are a fool." And the voice answers, "You are a fool." And so begins a lifelong battle. The traveler spends the rest of his life in this canyon, dedicating all of his energy to fighting this invisible, tormenting monster. He screams arguments, he hurls insults, he whispers fears. And the monster always answers back, with his own words, amplified and distorted, echoing his own pain back to him. The traveler lives in a state of constant, exhausting warfare, never realizing the profound and simple truth. The monster's voice is nothing but the echo of his own. The only sound in the canyon is the one he is creating. Your inner critic is the echo. It has no voice of its own. It has no independent power. It is a simple, impersonal, psychic mechanism that can only echo back to you the energy that you are putting out. When you scream at it in resistance, "I am not a failure," you are giving it a voice. You are creating the very noise you are trying to silence. When you whisper a fear to it, "What if I'm not good enough?" you are giving it a script. You are feeding the echo. The way to defeat the monster in the Echo Canyon is not to shout louder. It is to fall silent. When you stop shouting at the canyon wall, the echo has nothing to reflect. It too must fall silent. The practice of turning down the volume on your inner critic is the practice of learning to stop shouting at the canyon. It is the practice of withdrawing your energy, your attention, and your belief from the echo. When a critical thought arises, you learn to not engage. You don't argue with it. You don't fight it. You don't even try to analyze it. You simply let it echo into silence. And in the great, profound silence that follows, you discover the truth. There was never a monster. There was only you, and the beautiful, peaceful, and silent canyon of your own awareness. Part 6. The Vow of Disengagement. Do you recognize yourself as the traveler, shouting at your own echo? Have you spent your life in a battle with a monster that you yourself were creating? If this parable illuminates the futility of your inner war, then I invite you to make this space your silent canyon. Subscribe to The Hidden Voice. This is a community for those who are learning to stop shouting and to start listening to the profound peace that lies beneath the echoes. And now, we must make a conscious choice. A vow to end the conversation with the monster. A vow to disengage from the echo. This is the central act of turning down the volume. It is a declaration of peace. Find your center. Feel the quiet space of your own being, the space that exists before you shout into the canyon. And from this place of stillness, make this declaration. I now see and understand that my inner critic is an echo of my own past conditioning and my own present resistance. It is not a separate entity. It is not the voice of truth. It is a ghost, powered by my own attention. I honor the part of me that has been shouting, trying so hard to fight the perceived monster. I see its fear and its exhaustion. And I now lovingly release it from this impossible battle. The war is over. Now, let this vow become your new rule of engagement for your inner world. From this day forward, I make a vow of conscious disengagement. When the echo of the critic arises, I will no longer shout back. I will no longer argue, resist, or defend. I will meet the echo with silence. I will see the critical thought, I will acknowledge its presence, and I will consciously choose to place my attention elsewhere. I will place my attention on my breath. I will place my attention on the sensations in my body. I will place my attention on the beauty of the present moment. My attention is my power. It is the food that has been keeping the echo alive. I now choose to withdraw this food. I am putting the ghost on a diet. My new practice is not self-criticism, it is self-compassion. It is not arguing with the noise, it is resting in the silence. Take a deep, conscious breath, and feel the profound simplicity of this new path. You do not have to win the fight. You just have to stop showing up for it. You cannot stop the canyon from having an echo, but you can choose to stop yelling at it. And in that simple, powerful choice, you will find the silence you have been seeking all along. Part 7. Rituals for turning down the volume. To make this vow of disengagement a living, breathing reality, you need practical, in-the-moment tools. The habit of shouting at the echo is a deeply ingrained one. These are the daily rituals that will help you to break that habit and to cultivate the new skill of meeting the critic with a peaceful and spacious awareness. The first ritual is to give the critic a name. The critic's power lies in its ability to sound like you. It uses the first person I to fuse with your identity. This ritual is a playful and powerful way to create instant separation. Your practice is to give your inner critic a name. It is best if the name is not terrifying, but slightly ridiculous or formal. You might call it the judge, or General Worrywart, or the committee, or even a simple name like George. Now, when the familiar stream of criticism begins, instead of taking it personally, you will narrate it as a third-party event. Instead of thinking, I am so stupid for making that mistake, you will notice, the judge is in session today, and he has a strong opinion on that mistake. Instead of, I'll never be good enough, you will notice, the committee is holding a meeting, and the main agenda item is my inadequacy. This simple act of externalizing and naming the voice is profoundly liberating. It takes you out of the role of the accused and places you in the role of the amused, detached observer. You are no longer the one being criticized, you are the one who is noticing the critic. It instantly turns down the volume by revealing the impersonal, programmed nature of the broadcast. The second ritual is paradoxical agreement. This is a more advanced technique, a form of spiritual jujitsu. The critic's energy is one of attack. It expects you to defend yourself, which is the resistance that gives it its power. This ritual is about refusing to provide that resistance. When the critic's voice arises with one of its familiar attacks, instead of arguing with it, you are going to paradoxically agree with it, and perhaps even add a compassionate and to it. The critic says, you handled that conversation terribly. The old you would argue, no, I didn't. I did my best. Which starts the war. The new you will pause, take a breath, and say internally, you're right. There is a part of me that feels I handled that terribly. And I am learning to be more skillful in my communication. The critic says, you are a failure. You will reply, not with an argument, but with a compassionate acknowledgement, I hear you. There is a part of me that is feeling a deep sense of failure right now. And I am worthy of love and compassion, regardless of my successes or failures. See the power in this. You are not agreeing with the truth of the critic's judgment. You are agreeing with the presence of the thought or feeling. You are not fighting the echo. You are validating the initial sound. This act of non-resistance completely disarms the critic. It has no fuel, no wall to push against. You are meeting its attack not with a shield, but with a soft and open space, and in that space, its energy simply dissolves. The third ritual is the compassionate blessing. This is a practice for healing the critic at its root. It is based on the understanding that the critic is not a monster, but a terrified and wounded part of you. It is the echo of a child who is trying to protect themselves. When the critic's voice is particularly harsh or loud, your practice is to stop. Place a hand on your own heart. And instead of reacting to the content of the words, you will react to the pain behind the words. You will see the critic as a small, frightened child, trying to keep you safe in the only way it knows how, by being harsh. And you, the wise, loving, adult consciousness, will speak to that child. You can say, internally, I hear how scared you are. Thank you for working so hard to try and protect me. Your job is done now. I am safe. I can handle this. You can rest. Then, you consciously send a feeling of love, of warmth, of compassion from your heart to the part of your body that feels contracted and in pain. You are not trying to silence the critic. You are trying to soothe the wounded child that is creating the critical voice. This is the ultimate act of turning down the volume. You are not just ignoring the echo. You are healing the very source of the original sound. Part 8. The Critic and the Worthiness Wound. As you practice these rituals, you will begin to see the deeper connection between the voice of your inner critic and the core wound we have discussed before, the deservingness wound. The inner critic is the loyal and vicious guard dog that stands at the gate of your own unworthiness. Its primary function, its deep, subconscious job, is to keep you small and safe within the familiar confines of not being good enough. It is terrified of you stepping into your true magnificence, because that is an unknown, and therefore dangerous, territory. So, every time you have a creative idea, the critic attacks it to keep you from the potential failure of expressing it. Every time you are offered an opportunity for more abundance or more love, the critic tells you why you don't deserve it, to protect you from the potential pain of receiving and then losing. The critic is the enforcer of your own limiting beliefs. It is the narrator of your unworthiness story. This is why turning down the volume on the critic is such a vital part of unlocking your abundance and your joy. As long as that voice is the loudest voice in your head, you will never feel truly safe enough or worthy enough to receive the good that is trying to come to you. By practicing disengagement, by meeting the critic with compassion, you are not just creating more peace in your mind. You are creating the inner safety and the inner silence that is necessary for the deeper healing to occur. You are gently asking the guard dog to stand down, so that you can finally approach the wounded part of yourself, the part that believes it is unworthy, and offer it the love and the acceptance it has been starving for. The silencing of the critic is the prerequisite for the healing of the soul. Part 9. The Epiphany of Attention. And now we arrive at the great and liberating epiphany, the one that contains the entire secret to turning down the volume on your inner critic, now and for the rest of your life. 4 years, you have been trying to win a debate with the voice in your head. You have been treating the critic like a worthy opponent. You have been analyzing its arguments, gathering evidence to refute its claims, and engaging it in an endless, exhausting, and unwinnable intellectual war. You have been operating under the assumption that the critic's power lies in the validity of its arguments. You have believed that if you could just prove its logic wrong, it would finally fall silent. And here is the epiphany. The critic's power has never been in the validity of its arguments. Its power is, and has always been, in the amount of your attention that it consumes. It does not matter if the critic is right or wrong. It is a ghost, an echo. Its arguments are irrelevant. It is an illusion, and an illusion only has power over you for as long as you are looking at it, engaging with it, and believing it is real. The moment you withdraw your attention, its power vanishes. This is the ultimate secret. Turning down the volume is not an act of confrontation. It is an act of attentional pivot. It is the simple, powerful, and repeated choice to consciously place your attention on something more real and more true than the stories of the critic. You are not fighting the echo. You are simply becoming more interested in the silence of the canyon. You are not arguing with the radio. You are simply becoming more absorbed in the beauty of the garden outside the window. You are not trying to win the debate. You are choosing to not even show up for it. The peace you seek is not the prize you get after you have finally defeated the critic. The peace you seek is what is revealed, in any given moment, the instant you stop giving the critic your attention. The peace was always already here. Your engagement with the critic was the only thing obscuring it. Part 10. The Silence of the Canyon. So we come to the end, which is a new beginning. A beginning of a life lived in a new kind of quiet. The critic, the echo, may never disappear completely. It is a part of the psychic landscape of being human. There will be times when a stray, critical thought echoes through the canyon of your mind. But it is no longer a problem. It is no longer your tormentor. It is just a sound. An impersonal event that you can notice without being consumed by it. You now have the tools. You have the understanding. You know that you do not have to fight. You know that you do not have to believe. You know that you have a choice. The great work of your life is no longer to be the traveler, shouting at the monster in the canyon. The great work of your life is to become the canyon itself. Vast, silent, spacious, and completely untroubled by the occasional echoes that pass through it. Your new identity is not the one who defeated the critic. Your new identity is the one who is no longer interested in the argument. This is true freedom. Not a mind that has become perfectly silent, but a you that has become perfectly peaceful, regardless of what the mind is doing. You cannot stop the canyon from having the potential for an echo, but you can choose to stop shouting. And in that choice, in that simple, powerful, and repeated act of conscious, loving disengagement, you will find the profound and lasting silence that you have always been. This deep, unshakable peace is your true nature, waiting for you beneath the echoes of your inner critic. If this journey has helped you to finally learn how to turn down the volume, then help us share this peace with others. Subscribe to The Hidden Voice. Like and share this practice. Every interaction you make helps another soul to lay down their arms in their own inner war, and to come home to the beautiful silence of their own being. Thank you for your courage to stop fighting. Now go, and enjoy the profound and wonderful peace of a quiet canyon.